Hello everybody and welcome to Toyah At Home. I've had the luxury this week to be based at home for the first time since February for a whole week, which has been great. It means Robert and I have been planning a lot about next year, a lot of really exciting things, as I keep mentioning on my Toyah At Homes. But the Sunday lunch show and the Toyah and Robert concerts are shaping up beautifully. Also, we're doing what everyone else is doing at this point in time, and we're planning for our Christmas. We're planning for our broadcasts, our Christmas message on Christmas Day, and also our New Year's Eve, New Year's Day message as well. Lots of fun things going on there. We're developing our social media now that we're based at home and not traveling so much. It means we can do a lot more and we can create a lot more kind of very unusual ideas. Let's put it that way. Fun things to make you laugh. We just opened our TikTok accounts and we're about to start posting on TikTok. That's the first for both of us. But going back to Christmas, for us, we're going to have a very quiet Christmas, which is exactly what we're looking forward to. In a week's time, I get together with my brother and sister. They're the remaining members of my family. There's only the three of us, their spouses and a nephew. So it's quite a small gathering, but it's a gathering we have every beginning of December in Yuki, which we absolutely adore, and I can't wait. Now, I never told you any of this, but at the beginning of the Anthem tour, my brother had a stroke. And he's dealt very, very well with it. And he's been a typical man in that he has not told anyone much about it. And I broke the news accidentally to his son, who I thought knew about it. So it was quite a tough autumn for me, not being able to see my brother and getting single syllable answers of him, in the usual way throughout our relationship, throughout life. Are you okay? Yep. Do you want anything? Nope. So typical bloke in how he responded to that. So I'm seeing him next week for the first time since he's had his stroke. And I'm really looking forward to time with him, my sister, their spouses, and my nephew. It's always a very special time. But for the rest of our Christmas, I got work. I'm doing TV, I'm doing motivational speaking, and I have a concert, which is a playback concert. But Robert and I don't need as much as we used to need. And I'm planning what we're going to be eating over Christmas. And I realized that for me, myself, I eat a third of what I used to eat. I have absolutely no appetite whatsoever. I still like sweet things, but I can only eat a couple of spoonfuls and literally a couple of mouthfuls per meal. And I don't explore that. I don't worry about it. It just means at Christmas, probably for the first time, our Christmas is not going to be based around food. It's going to be based around just us being together in physical contact, watching great movies, really loving movies, and hopefully filming some really stupid things for you. So it's going to be an interesting Christmas. I also don't like the heating on, but my husband needs the heating on. So that's kind of going to be dealing with that. And also, I just want him to have so many presents to open. I get him lots of little tiny things that he absolutely loves. It's going to be a very interesting Christmas because everything that we used to associate with Christmas, we now kind of don't need. We're not looking for, we're not desiring or pining for. And this is, we look at each other and we go, we're getting old. So it's just really interesting that the whole meaning of Christmas is changing shape for us, but we absolutely adore and feel connected to the world through how we film and what we do on Sunday lunch and our social media. And I said to Robert, our bodies are getting old, but our souls are young and our spirit is young. This is what we're meant to be doing, is let's break down the kind of confinement and the expectations of age and just get on with having a fabulous life. Now, the song I am going to be reacting to today is a song that is very powerful for me, and it's called Waiting. And if you just heard that police siren, I think it came in exactly the right time. Waiting is what I call an emotional song. Now, you may be thinking, okay, Adele singing Chasing Pavements, Celine Dion singing I Love Will Go On. Those are emotional songs. They're incredibly emotional songs. They're also very technical songs. Now, Waiting is an improvisation. Therefore, I had to enter an emotional space when this was first recorded I believe it was first recorded at the Marquee Studios by the Marquee Club, and Steve James was producing, Keith Hale was present. When it was first recorded, I just went into a dark studio with the lights off and improvised over the track. When it was first approached as a written song before this, I believe it was at Pete Bush's house in Whetstone with Pete Bush, myself, Joel Bogan, Windy Miller on bass, and we were just improvising. And we were improvising around a really great bass line. So the finished product happened at the Marquee Studios around 1978. The journey before that, and I'm working backwards here for a reason, was Pete Bush's music room in Whetstone, where Joel, Pete Bush and I formulated most of what became Sheep Farming in Barnet. But then the origin of it was the lyric. And the lyric happened when I was living in a bedsit on the Hornsey Road, just by Hornsey Rise, which in 1977 and 78 was bedsit land, but also Hornsey Rise. These huge houses were all squats. And we made friends. I was living with two drama students, Penny and Lee, who were very social. They went to Mount View Drama School and they brought a lot of friends back all the time. We went to Mount View, had really lovely, great times. There was an empty railway track that was disused between Mount View Drama School and where we were living on Hornsey Road, which myself, Joel Bogan, a wonderful creative called Glenn, we would walk down these empty railway tracks, and I found them so inspiring. They were completely deserted. And then we had friends in the squats on Hornsey Rise. So my room on this 3-floor bedsit with the two girls, Penny and Lee, my window was broken. It was always broken. It was winter. I would have to lie in bed just to keep warm every morning. And I remember lying in bed staring at a blank wall. And this image came into my head of life, of a historic culture, a historic race and community coming up out of the sea. The bones were rising. So as the lyric goes, bones stand waiting beneath the unbroken sea. Warm ice, the ice caps melting, paint the sky in tranquility. This is the peace, the calm before the storm. Bones stand waiting, waiting for hypocrisy. The sun rises, we are a sphere in flames. Bones rise to shade our eyes. So I was just lying in this really uncomfortable, very cold bedroom with a broken window, with just a headscarf covering the window. And the image was of these bones, bit like Jason and the Argonauts, coming to life under the sea, surfacing, coming to the surface and claiming back their planet. The sea becomes the sea again. Now my planet is in flames. War. My planet's at war. Now, whenever we've performed this live, it is one of those songs, like Danced, that enters the body and has an emotional journey for me. It's not a technical experience at all, which is why sometimes the vocal shifts with the band, and the band have to trust that I'm going to find that downbeat and come back in to what the structure that they know. So emotionally, it completely takes me over. And I find this really important within performance. It's really important to me as an actress, and it's important to me as a singer. IER does it. The only way I can hit that very end note at IER that goes on for about 30 seconds, possibly longer, is the emotional journey has put me into that emotional space. So that space for me is a sacred space. Now, most people get to that space by chanting, by breathing. Boy George on Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, all that breathing to contain himself and be himself. Well, when I'm singing, this is what I experience, and I go into a completely different world and become a very different me. And I do that through dance, IER, and this song, Waiting. So going back to the lyric, I have a fire running through my mind. I was a warrior, but life's unkind. Well, I've gone into being part of those bones, the story of the bones. I'm talking to my kind. Trees, fields, life serene. Now I find my life, your life, totally obscene. And again, it's a reflection on environment and ecology and how industry has put itself before the planet. War, my planet's at war and my body's in flames. And then the drama comes out, my body's in flames, 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 flames. That big build. So the song, as within performance, is an emotional journey. And the lyrics started in the bedsit, then I took it into Joel and Pete, and they created dun 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 dun. Now, what I love about this, it's one of the best dance riffs we've ever done, and it's one of my favourite songs off Sheep Farming in Barnet, because the sheer power and the way that when we were young, we fight with our own mortality. It's all within this song. And it's just, how can I put it? It just changes me. Every time I sing it, it changes me. And dance is the same. And I remember on the Anthem tour a couple of months ago that Manolo and Emily wanted to, quite rightly, add a very lovely organ keyboard solo for Emily to do in dance. And they put it right after Goodbye, my mother, my father, my lover, my lovers. That bit, that section, just before the long instrumental. They put it there, and I lived with it. I couldn't rave about it. And eventually, I think we were at Sale in Manchester, and I said, it's in the wrong place. Now, my band are absolutely stunning, but they don't see that I'm one of the co-writers on these songs and one of the co-arrangers. I know what works. So I said, Manolo, this is all about emotional voice. When we hit that point after the dancing section, when we hit that point, it is an emotional voice of loss. The only thing that can follow is goodbye, my mother, my father, my brother, my lovers, I'm going away, is an emotional voice. Not a keyboard solo to express someone's ability, very brilliant ability on the keyboards. It can only come from a lone guitar. So I said, Manolo, just follow my emotional voice, which he did absolutely brilliantly for 8 bars. Boom! Sets the whole thing up for Emily to come in with the story and with the power and with her utterly unique technical talent. And it was wonderful. So again, Waiting and the whole structure of Waiting technically does have an emotional journey, as does dance and certainly IER, which is incredibly technical. But the journey for the performer is an emotional journey. So the reason I've gone into that much detail is because I know a lot of performers and a lot of potential singers watch this, and I just want to start talking to you about my technique and what happens to me when I perform. So I'm reacting to the Shoestring performance of Waiting, which is off Sheep Farming in Barnet, and how brilliantly Shoestring engaged itself with the EP Fall from Toyah, or what was to become Fall from Toyah, by adding onto Shoestring vivisection as a kind of chase music in the gangster scenes, dance, as the celebratory song within it, and waiting within it as well. And in a way, Shoestring was very forward thinking, and it launched me into a much broader audience, and it made it possible for It's a Mystery to become the huge hit it became in February of 1981. So let's take a look at this. See if I can get a big picture. I'm going to turn it down a bit. Oh, this is such a wonderful memory. I've not looked at this. Trevor Reeve, walking down the pier at Weston-super-Mare. This was all shot in Weston-super-Mare, bar the band performance, which was done in Acton in London. Now, the remarkable thing about this sequence is this is where my father saw my mother for the first time. She was a touring dancer, and she was a touring dancer. My father was on a dirty weekend watching the show and fell in love with my mother. I was born 10 years later. So Trevor Reeve has just walked into this bar off the pier in Weston-super-Mare. This bar is in Acton. I drive past it every time I'm in London when I go to my home in Chiswick. Oh my God, I love what I'm wearing. I think I got that from Swanky Modes or Miss Selfridge. This wonderful two-tone striped dress. The clothes then were amazing because two-tone was so powerful. Now this looks like a live performance. Joel in purple. Oh my goodness. Wow, I think that was a live performance. I've got to watch this again. Oh my God, this is fantastic. I love it. Okay, I'm going to watch it again with the sound up because there is so much to talk about here. Okay, please play. It's going to have problems loading now. Typical. Going back to my mother. My father then dumped his 5 girlfriends and followed my mother around the country, proposing to her. This is a live performance. It's live! So we did this live in the pub in Acton. I think it's called the Globe. That beat is amazing. And Pete's keyboards is fantastic. I know we were touring a lot at this time, which is why we sound so tight. Now that security person, I remember his name was Pat. He would work with Adamant and the Sex Pistols. And he came on the road with us because I started to need security. Oh, I don't know the name of that bass player. It doesn't look like Charlie Francis, but he's fantastic. What I love about this is I'm having to act. We're on camera, we're singing live. So we're only doing part of the song. It's the flames, the flames, the flames. So that is an emotional performance. It's not technical, it is purely feeling the words and the subject matter. Steve Brace, so that's got to be Charlie on bass. That's got to be Charlie on bass. But his hair is darker. Oh, come on. No, that is not Charlie Francis. This is fabulous. I can't stop playing it. Just bear with me. I've just worked with the Orchestra of the Swan, and they've asked if I want to do some live work with them. You know, this with an orchestra would be amazing. It's another thing we're going to be looking at for next year. There's not Charlie Francis on bass. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I really enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed that. And I remember when we were filming in Weston-super-Mare, I was phoning my mum and dad every day and telling them about the pier. We were looking for carvings Dad had done on the stage door with my mum's name. It was really wonderful. Everyone, thank you for watching that, and thank you for listening to me waffling, because that was just great. We will see you tonight for an Objects of Desire, and tomorrow for a really, really crazy Sunday lunch. I mean, when I showed Robert what we were going to do, he just laughed and laughed and laughed. Stay safe, everyone. We love you, and we will see you for more soon. Mwah! Someone's thrown me a present.
Is it octopus? It feels wet. This one's called waiting. Waiting.
See